So, this is an update here on the Week 5, 2024 TV schedule. Well, this is the announcers for the week. 5 games on Amazon Prime have officially been announced. They are put on here. The ones for the London game, and the ones are on the typical Mondays, Thursday nights, which is Monday and Sunday night and Monday night. If they have 2 Monday nights or something like that, like a special game, then you put the announcers on. Otherwise, you typically, it's not mentioned because who most, if you're watch football, it's the same announcers every single week on those games. So we have Tempe, Atlanta, Amazon, and the official Simulcast channel is going to be WTBT, Fox 13 in Tampa Bay TV market, and WAGA, Fox 5 in Atlanta, Georgia, TV market. The NYJ, Minnesota and London game will be simulcast in WCBS, CBS 2 in New York, and NBC 11 in Minneapolis. NOKC is going to be simulcast on WDSU, NBC 6 in New Orleans, and KMBC, ABC 9 in Kansas City. So, and we have the CBS early, just like it said. I knew Charles Davis in Buffalo, Houston, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cameron, Green, and the Jacksonville Spirits, and Richard. And Buffalo, Houston is a featured game. Baltimore, Cincinnati is second featured CBS early. Looks like Buffalo and Houston are both 3-1 though. Cincinnati is 1-3, and Baltimore is 2-2, so it'll be a second featured game. And we have 2-2 Indianapolis, I believe, against 0-4 Jacksonville, so that'll be the bottom tier game for they. And then we have Green Bay at LA Rams, Jimmy and Surma. Both Green Bay is 3-1, and LA Rams are 1-2. No, Green Bay is 2-2. My bad. Green Bay is 2-2. And LA Rams are 1-3. Honestly, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe LA Rams are 2-2. Could be wrong about that. LA Rams. I can't remember. No, they're 1-3. So I was right. They're 1-3. And then we have NY Giants at Seattle with NY Giants are 1-3 as well. But Seattle is 3-1. But Seattle hasn't played a ton of teams of note though. I mean, they played the Broncos close. They played the Patriots close. They played the Dolphins 2. So that's the only games they won. So I could see why they'd be a second featured game. Then we have the Fox single window. We have, just like mentioned, it is the second the feature game is going to be actually the late window. Typically, on the single windows, the feature game is a early window game at 1 Eastern. However, it is in the late window, the late single window. The late single window is either the early single window is 1 Eastern, just like their other games, and then typically the late doubleheader window, the late game is at 4:25 Eastern. But for the single window, the late game is at 4:05 Eastern, and that is like 5 minutes. So the announcers and all that stuff can have pregame and that stuff. And then also, you do it so there can't be like an overlap between the two games. Also, typically, you have the early games are still going on, so. And it's going to be Arizona at San Francisco, the feature game, which is 1-3 Arizona against 2-2 San Francisco, I believe. So that is the featured game on Fox. The second featured game is Cleveland and Washington with Jason Benetti and Gallegos, and it's 1-3 against 3-1. So I could see that being a solid second game. Carolina at Chicago will be the third featured game with Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma. Then the Kenny Albert Jonathan Vilma crew stays the same as was Kim Burkert and Reese so far. Panthers, Bears, they're both 1-3, 2-2, so I can see it being like game number 3 or 4. I could see that. Miami at New England, but Miami at New England's probably going to be a game actually. Game number 5 because it's actually, it might actually be game number 4 though. Just because it's in an early window. We got 1-3, 1-3. And then we have Kevin Kugler and Chris Maris has the fill in for Amamine. And Jason Minetti has the fill in for Joe Davis, as they're calling MLB for Fox, I'm assuming. I'm assuming that's what they are up for. MLB on Fox. Because MLB, there's the divisional round and there's 2 games. There's, what it is ESPN has both wild cards now. And it used to be, I think, where like ESPN either got both or they got one, and then and then like TBS would get one with Warner Bros. Discovery. And then it was like, I think it was, they had it where like MLB Network got some games. I remember some playoff games on MLB Network. But now I think it's probably going to be where both series are for one side are on Division Series on TBS. So through Warner Bros. Discovery, TBS or True TV. And one series is going to have some games on, or even maybe TNT possibly. And then one series will, I know True TV had one when they games overlapped each other. The full game was on TNT or True TV, and then it started on TBS afterward. The rest of it went to TBS. And it was on both, actually. Because I know True TV did whip around or alternate casts, whatever. Too, so during the games, during those game days, try to get when they were sports coverage. So it's like one of those instances. So, but then when the championship series is going on for MLB, depends on when it's going on. This series, if they, whenever their series is done, that they're calling, they'll just have, they'll just come back and have, and air, a football game if they can. We'll see though, what's going on. But Chris Maris is the fill-in for Amamine, and Jason Benetti is the 6th. Typically, actually, Chris Maris is number 6, and Jason Benetti is number 7. Typically, but because Jason Benetti is college, I believe, so that is why he would be. But he is actually not with great. But I guess they picked a more natural pairing. Like Chris Maris could be more, maybe he's used to like doing like a bunch of other stuff like football, like different announce crews, like NASCAR, like the studio. I think he was on MLB Studio. He's doing a whole bunch for Fox over the years and now even. So that is why he is. So, and then we got Kevin Kugler, Darryl Johnson with Las Vegas and Denver in the late window. And that is not the best late window game. It's 2-2 at 2-2, but Denver has not looked great though. They beat the Buccaneers upset, and they lost to a Steelers team. It was decent. It was a good Steelers team, even though they're 3-1 there. They didn't show the most promise. The Steelers haven't late in their games to be 3-1, but they almost were 4-0. So I mean, they're not bad, but they're not like amazing though. The Steelers weren't, so not very close. Barely beat the struggling Jets, so it's like, ugh. I can see where that game would be number 5 on the list. Probably number 5 on the list. Or Miami, New England would be number 5, maybe. I think Las Vegas, Denver is number 4. Miami, New England's number 5. And then Carolina, Chicago is going to be number 3. Cleveland, Washington's number 2. And Arizona, San Francisco's number 1. I mean, it's interchangeable. Carolina, Chicago could be, I would say, number 3 maybe. Maybe number 3 or number 4. I mean, it's interchangeable, I guess. Carolina, Chicago, Las Vegas, Denver. I think Carolina, Chicago is just early window, so they got number 3. 3 maybe because they're in an early window. So, so yeah. But yeah, that is the CBS early and late window. CBS is having an early and late window again. Usually, I mean, they usually split the early and late windows. CBS does. CBS and Fox do. Early window is 16 game season. What they would do is CBS would have 8 early windows and 8 late windows. Fox and then Fox also have the same 8 early and late windows, like double headers. However, you know, and then the 17th game they would both have a doubleheader for like playoff pictures, presume for playoffs, you know, or they would, you know, both get it so then it'd be even. So you know, both teams would have an even number of like game. You know, you could have it where like one year one team gets one, like a single window, and when you know one like CBS gets it, then the odd years, like maybe even years, like CBS would get it, odd years Fox would get it, you know, or something like that. But they're doing it. But now they are doing it to where you know, I mean that's typically how it is, even now with 18 games. But sometimes they would do it where like week 1, you know. Like I remember them last like the years doing it where it was like remember last year I believe it was week 1 where both had a doubleheader, and then week 18 both had a doubleheader, because if you did it where 17 games, even if you had no bye, it would be, if you had no bye, it would be 8 and 8 with 18 weeks, it would be 9 and 9. But they wanted to do it where both networks have a doubleheader on the final game of the season, or the final week of the season. So for that to happen, because of playoffs and stuff like that, you know, sometimes, you know, so you can flip back and forth between the teams. You can flip back and forth between the games. If there's one that's interesting for like playoff picture and stuff like that, you know, because you might have one game, like for example, like one team, you know, your local team might be in CBS or Fox, whatever, but then a team opposite you that's in like fighting for playoffs per se, you know, might be on the opposite channel. I'm fighting alongside for playoffs for like fans to watch, you know, check out both teams, you know, for playoffs. I guess maybe, you know, so not always is that the case, but That could be, I have seen that though before though, so we'll see how NFL does it this year. But that's a long ways to go. But that is the announcers for Week 5 of 2024 NFL season for Fox, Single, and CBS. Early and late, Fox Single had changed because of MLB playoffs. But and then there's the Simulcast networks for the games on Amazon, for the games for nationally televised games. Tampa Atlanta on Amazon, which is on WTVT Fox 13 Tampa again, and WAGA Fox Atlanta, which is normally how they would most likely, which is actually normal for them because they are NFC teams, and NFC teams normally have Fox. Anyways, sometimes they don't bait. You might have it might not be the same channel that your preseason games are televised on. Might not be, maybe they're not. Maybe it might not be. But but it might be though. Yeah, it's either whoever. It must be like whoever bids the most, for the preseason games. For like the regular season, I think maybe that's how NFL does it. Maybe, and then maybe I know for like local like radio announcing or like preseason, the full preseason slate. There's so many networks that simulcast preseason all across. So it's like, so it's probably just like whichever one they preference with for team preference, or probably. But it's WCS, CBS 2 New York, and KR, NBC 11 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the Twin Cities. We have WDSU, NBC 6 in New Orleans, or New Orleans, Kansas City, and KMBC, ABC 9 in Kansas City. Is simulcasting the Monday Night Football. Those channels are simulcasting the football game. Then we have there are only 14 NFL games this week, not 16. Not the typical 16. It's a 32 team league. We have Detroit and LA Chargers have bias, and Philadelphia and Tennessee have bias as well.